Yeah, we should talk a little about Danny too, because I'm like, man,
Let's
that's
cover
such
that.
an interesting connection.
So yeah,
like,
we could talk about. I mean, obviously we both were friends with him like for a long time. I think I first met him in maybe 2005 or something on a trip to Pittsburgh when I was really young, maybe like 16, 17 years
crazy,
old.
yeah.
And I would say that arguably like one of the most influential people that I personally knew in my life. But even though our like we spent some time together, but he was always somebody that I guess through, letter writing throughout the duration of him being locked up and, keeping in touch, it felt like every interaction that I had with him was more meaningful throughout the whole experience since kind of the first time that I met. Even the first time that I met, he was cased up and he, was new to Pittsburgh and he wanted to paint. But it was like one of those things where everybody in the room, and there were like 10 people in the room, they were like, you should not paint, bro. Like and he's just like, no, just give me one can and one cap. Like I'm going out right now. And then next thing I know, we're like in the strip and we're like painting the exterior of like a Verizon store or something. You know what I mean?
God.
Like
yeah, the most
prosecutable. Exactly.
Thing.
Like
yeah.
face, like laughing, you know what I mean? Just like literally laughing in the street, having a great time. And then I've also had these moments with him where I've had some very sad times, probably my saddest times with him as well, Let's talk about when you guys met. When did you and Danny meet?
Shit, bro. I mean, I was like, Danny, MF1.
Yeah.
Eastside Asia.
Brown Eyes.
Yeah, Brown Eyes. A man known by many
Space
names.
Boy.
Daniel J. Montano. Look him up.
Yeah, look him up.
Him.
Look up the Wikipedia. Like, look. I mean, people.
It's not even doesn't like. I mean, I first met him not even in person, but like being younger than him, and like I would just like skip school and just walk from one end of the city to another. Like I would, just try to kill time or like, take a day and just literally I would just take the bus, get to a place and then literally just walk from one end of the Pittsburgh to another. And I remember like being a kid and walking around in those times when Danny like 03, 02, and he was Asia and he was bombing like the most crazy, beautiful spots. Like I'll just say that just to see him was such an inspiration because like he was tuned in, he was beyond graffiti. He was like on some like extremely like harmonic, classical, and also totally bonkers space alien like proportions, ideas about weight and flatness and balance and imbalance and distortion and all these like very time travel-esque visuals. Like this dude was, I to this day am just like humbled, and I know why he would want to paint the store because he was just like the most fine-tuned instrument of his own vision and he could just flow. Like I have tiny moments where I feel maybe like I know what that's like, but when I see Danny's work, like he was communicating something about geometry and proportions that was so beyond the scope of like anybody's mind in like Pittsburgh at that time. Either graffiti dudes could recognize it as like harmonic, and interesting, but like he was really on some far out old level, like high level, just understanding of these
it's like
natural principles. This dude was, it was a like watching Danny's life, like he's a true legend. Like he actually went through this. He's like a martyr of graffiti, like Ty too, like in many ways, like where you have these people who really were like the lambs of graffiti who sacrificed themselves. Like, these dudes were the purest, most best inspirational moments, free flowing creativity, man. Like, and they get like, sort of like Danny definitely got martyred by the city of Pittsburgh,
for
bro.
Sure.
Like they fucking dragged his ass like through the mud and as hard as they could. Like it's really interesting just looking back on it, like the amount of energy that was spent, like, but that was like his journey, bro. Like that was his destiny. Like, and I think he knew that. Like that's what was magnificent about this person was like he created this situation that gave him the journey of like his life. And it really was like a trial by fire. Like he was Yeah, like he really went through it, bro. And he like, he maxed out his sentences because he never wanted to admit that he was wrong. They're like,
Right.
admit that you had wrongdoing and
At
we'll let
parole
you out. And he's like,
hearings.
no,
Yeah.
because he's like, I didn't do anything. Like,
Right.
like I'm just, when I reflect on his life, I'm just so humbled by it. Even as an artist, I'm like, dude, I'm fucking struggling to make like a good piece. Like when I think about the level of ease which with this person was, I mean, he was just like a magnetic, amazing person to be around. Like the way
Dude, do
he
you
spoke, the
remember
way he fucking did anything
do
was
you
just
remember how
like,
like he was leading like a choir and a band at church in prison like for years, you know?
yeah, yeah,
There were people
yeah.
that would write to his mom after he left prison and they found out that he passed away, just wanting to keep in touch with his family because he had impacted them
Bro, he
so
was
much.
really that dude. And it's just anyone who knew. Like it really he was that dude. So I'm just so humbled and I literally like I measure my own life. Like I'm like, God, like what did Danny go through? Like, what was his path like as an artist, as like he could have had a big art career too. He was like just about to be he was in a museum show when they
When they
first
pulled him out.
arrested him. Yeah, like which is huge. Like the mattress factory in Pittsburgh. His art was like beyond like he didn't even really get it. He made a couple bodies of work that were in his parents' basement. Like we
Mm-hmm.
all got some of it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he gave me mine, still has like mildew on it,
Mm-hmm.
like, and he liked that. He wanted it to be temporal, but like Danny was a real one, bro. And they're very rare. And it's like, that was just magical to, witness. Like I witnessed it. Like, I mean, if anyone else, like, I don't know how to communicate his story, like, without being like there, like you can look at the flicks, like his
I
family
think
has
it
these family photo albums of his
sure.
graph that is just insanely
Those,
amazing.
and then I think through his writing, I think once we see, it's like a long term goal of mine to be able to collect more of his writing. Obviously, we have the letters, which are
Absolutely,
amazing,
yeah.
and to
No,
present those
absolutely.
in
There should
some
be
way.
definitely a Danny Montano archive, all that. Like he's really that dude. Like I'm gonna go back to Pittsburgh soon, and like I will always advocate or tell his story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's just so epic, bro.
And then it
Yeah,
was amazing to see him come back too. I mean, definitely never regretting what he had done in terms of graffiti or really anything in life, like fully enjoying it. He was one of the most free people I knew. And I remember like him after maxing out though, because he had a 2.5 to 5, but he had already spent county time, and they ran them what's it called, consecutive, not concurrent to one another. When he maxed out the number, he had spent a total of 7 years incarcerated, and he came to visit us, and he stayed with me, I think the first and second night, and wanted to go out and like
yeah, hell
paint.
yeah, hell yeah. He smashed. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
he was a real one where like he was also like what he had been through made him not afraid.
right.
Like, and I really do like we were talking. Like, I feel like he finally they wanted to arrest him again. Like he had just gotten out. Like this is right before he died. Like, and he had this new lawyer and this old graffiti detective guy who had busted him so many times. Like was on the stand, and Danny's lawyer just kind of like literally made this dude fall like a Jenga tower, took out a few pieces. Like he was just like, are you really an expert on handwriting? Or like, oh, oh, they said he wrote Joseph. He's like, are you aware that Daniel has a brother named Joseph, who's also been arrested for graffiti? Like, so how do like he just, and the judge dismissed the case. And Danny died very soon after that. But I remember him just describing that moment to me. And it really, to me, felt like he was like, my work here is done. Like he was like, his story finally concluded. Like he got like, he rode through this insanely difficult life destiny, bro. Like, I know how lonely he was. Like, I was writing him. Like, when I look back at those letters, I'm like, man, I just feel his pain. Like, it was hard to even get in the moment, because you're just like, all right, like, here, I'll send you another package. Or, you're just kind of trying to be like, oh, there for somebody as best you can. But it's really, when I look back, I'm like, man, he was under so much pressure and unknowns and, pain, and like I feel like him getting that last victory was like the end of his work. It really felt like that to me. But
So
like
it was the first time a graffiti writer had been acquitted. He took the case to trial and got acquitted.
yeah, literally risking what do they
Probably
want to
20
do?
years or
Jesus.
something dumb like that.
Yeah.
But so that was a historic moment for him. But also I just wanted to add that, during all that time that he was feeling lonely and dealing with his own drama, he was always very supportive of me still, you know, and everything that I was like going through, he was helpful. Like he was like a giver.
Hell yeah, bro.
in that
Well, I
sense.
feel like you guys were both like in this same situation. There was only all support between you. Like you guys had a special relationship because you had both gone through the same thing. Like you and Danny, like you were part of the same sweep. Like you were part of the same like effort to you know, clean up Pittsburgh or whatever. But
But
man, Pittsburgh had such a lit scene like with you guys. Like
oh,
it was
dude,
amazingly magical. The old school graph, Sesk, Prism,
yeah,
Surge, like that shit, it was so high quality. It was awesome.
right,
Buddha, you know, Joker, like
yeah.
I used to go to the like Armstrong Cork Factory as a kid, man. Like that was the coolest thing ever.
I
Like,
never got to
oh,
see it because it was gone by the time I got there. But I mean, I've
wow,
seen
yeah,
a
it was
ton of
amazing.
photos.
Like it was really a privilege. 2, 7, or 8 story gigantic factories, right? You know, on the water.
Yeah,
Super spooky and fucking dangerous and
Mhm.
crazy. Like incredible graffiti history. Like
Yeah.
now they're upscale condos. It's crazy. I ain't mad though. It's kind of cool. Like I think some of the graffiti is even there. I mean,
Oh,
I don't have
just
one
in
opinion about it or
on
another.
the brick in
but
the apartment or
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.